Hi, I'm Teacher Michael, and welcome to Science 9. Good day. Before we start, let us identify the goals for the day. First, identify the energy can be harnessed from volcano. Second, illustrate how energy from volcanoes may be tapped for human use. Third, be aware on the importance of energy from volcano. Before we start the lesson, let's have a game first. For picks one word, I want you to identify a word that could describe those pictures. Let us start. Are you ready? What do you think is the first word? Very good. That is volcano. Next word. What do you think is the word that could describe those pictures? Very good. That is thermal. Next word. What do you think is the next word? Nice. That is energy. Let's move to the other word. What do you think is the word that could describe those pictures? Very good, that is heat. Let's move to the next word. What do you think is the word? Very good, that's steam. And the last word is, what do you think is the word that could describe those pictures? Very good, that is turbine. Questions. What are the words that we identify from the activity? Do you still remember those words? Using those words, can you identify our topic for this day? What is it? Great idea! Our topic for this day is all about energy from the volcano, or what we call the geothermal energy. To have an idea for our topic for this day, let us watch this video.
Geothermal. Geothermal refers to producing energy from the internal heat of the Earth. The internal heat of the Earth is generated from radioactive decay of minerals and continual heat loss from the Earth's original formation. Geothermal wells are drilled into the Earth's crust at approximately a depth of 3 to 10 kilometers. The heat is extracted with a variety of methods, but in most cases is drawn from the Earth using water and steam. Hot water from the Earth may be directly extracted to heat homes and buildings. This is done either by directly circulating the hot water through buildings or by pumping it through a heat exchanger that transfers the heat to the building. Geothermal heat can also be used to produce electricity in a geothermal power plant. Electricity is generated when geothermal heat produces steam that turns turbines on a generator. The major regions of geothermal development are in the most volcanically and tectonically active regions of the world. Though geothermal energy is currently a small player in the world's energy mix, one of its key advantages is its reliability and consistent power generation, which means it can provide baseload electricity. Concerns with geothermal include the accidental release of CO2 and hydrogen sulfide emissions stored in the Earth's groundwater that is often used to carry geothermal heat to the Earth's surface. Additionally, drawing heat from the Earth's crust can, if done irresponsibly, lower the ground temperature below the surface. The upfront costs for geothermal energy production are relatively high. It is expensive to carry out the seismic sensing, test well drilling, confirmation testing, and other necessary preliminary investigations to ensure that your new geothermal plant will be capable of meeting desired production. That's geothermal.
Question. From the video that you have watched, what is geothermal energy? I think you have already an idea about geothermal energy. Nice. Nice answer. The heat from Earth's interior is a source of energy called geothermal energy. Geo means Earth, thermal means heat. Therefore, geothermal energy is the energy that comes from the heat inside the Earth or inside of a volcano. How can we use geothermal energy? From the video that you have watched, there are two ways that we can use geothermal energy. What do you think are those two ways? Great! You have an idea. How is geothermal energy generated? There are two ways that we can use geothermal energy. The first is using geothermal heat pumps that use the heat coming from close to the Earth's surface to heat water or provide heat for buildings. And the second one is in the use of geothermal power plants. The heat from deep inside the Earth is used to produce steam to generate electricity. This is how geothermal heat pump works. This is the heat pump. The heat pump will circulate the heat or hot air from shallow surface of the Earth. Meaning to say, the room here is very cold because of the temperature outside. Meaning to say, the climate here or the climate that being experienced by the house is cold. Therefore, inside the room is cold. Now the heat pump will pump the cold air downward and eventually it becomes warm because at the surface or beneath the surface of the Earth is very warm. Therefore, the cold air becomes warmer. Then eventually, the warm air will now pump back to the heat pump. Then the warm air will now being spread out inside the room by the heat pump. That's how the geothermal heat pump works. Geothermal heat pump can be served as the heating mode, and also it can be served as a cooling mode. Meaning to say, during winter, it can serve as heating. It serve as heater. During the summer, this heat pump can serve as a cooler. The another way on how we can use geothermal energy is by the means of building or constructing geothermal power plant. From this picture, we can identify how geothermal power plant produces the electricity from the use of geothermal energy. This is the first stage or first process. The second process, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. I want you to observe the picture for 5 seconds. And I want you to identify those processes. To have a greater idea how geothermal power plant works, let us watch this video.
Renewable Energy 101. If you've ever observed an erupting volcano or the geysers at Yellowstone National Park, you've seen geothermal energy in action. The Earth's crust is made of rocks and water. Deep below that is a layer of hot, molten rock called magma, which is even hotter than the sun's surface. The heat just over 6 miles below the surface contains 50,000 times more energy than all the oil and natural gas resources in the world. Releasing a small amount of that heat in the right way can create electricity. A well drilled a couple of miles deep can capture the rising hot water and steam. That steam spins a turbine, and a generator produces electricity. Geothermal is one of the least explored sources of renewable energy in the US, and most of us probably don't spend much time thinking about it. But since it's a pollution-free, renewable source of energy that's consistently reliable, at least it has been for the past 4.5 billion years, maybe we should.
Geothermal energy gives us a steady supply of electrical power with minimal environmental impact. Here is the basic process. Water in underground reservoirs is heated to high temperatures by magma. Production wells drilled up to 10,000 feet below the Earth's surface tap into this hot fluid. Under its own pressure, the fluid flows through these wells toward the surface. As it travels, the pressure lessens, causing a small amount to become steam. Together, the hot fluid and steam move through a surface pipeline to a wellhead separator where the pressure is reduced. Here, most of the fluid vaporizes and flashes into high-pressure steam. Any fluid not flashed into steam moves to a standard pressure crystallizer to produce standard pressure steam. Remaining fluid is then flashed at a lower pressure to create low-pressure steam. All steam created in the plant is sent to a turbine on site. The force of the steam spins the turbine's blades, which turns a shaft connected to an electrical generator. An electrical charge is created and directed to a transformer, where the voltage is increased and sent down power lines. Any fluids not flashed into steam return to the underground reservoir, where, in time, they will be reheated and reused. Geothermal energy, a simple, clean, and renewable energy source.
Once upon a time, the Philippines was at the forefront of geothermal exploration. We had to, because of the oil crisis during the 70s, along with the country's growing power demand. It was the perfect next step. Since the Philippines is located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, close to 75% of all active volcanoes, we are rich in geothermal energy resources. Geothermal energy is derived from the heat of the Earth's core. In fact, the Philippines has the 5th largest geothermal reserves next to the US, Indonesia, Japan, and Kenya. For 2 decades, we were considered as the 2nd largest producer of this clean and sustainable energy. But in 2002, we fell behind and opted for what we thought was the cheaper source of power, even if it was not clean and sustainable. This, despite the United Nations Environment Programme's call to speed up on climate change. But there's still hope. Today, 11% of our energy is powered by geothermal. It's clean, reliable, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. With the new exploration underway, it could only go higher, and soon live in a cleaner and more sustainable Philippines.
From those video, let us have a short activity. The title is What's Next? Those statements below are the following steps to generate electricity from a geothermal power plant. Arrange those statements in order by writing 1 to 5 on the blank below. You can write your answer on a clean sheet of paper or scratch paper. The first statement is the steam spins a turbine which is connected to a generator that produces electricity. The second statement is wells are drilled deep into the earth to pump steam or hot water to the surface. The third statement is the cold water is pumped back into the earth to begin the process again. The fourth statement is cooling tower cools the steam which it condenses back to water. And the fifth statement is when the water reaches the surface, the drop in pressure causes the water to turn into steam. Again, I want you to arrange those statements in order by writing 1 to 5 on the blank below. You can write your answer on a clean sheet of paper or a scratch paper. I will give you 1 minute to do it. I think you're done. Let's start. What do you think is the first statement or the first process based on the video and based on this picture? What do you think is the statement that could describe this first process? Very good. The first process is wells are drilled deep into the earth to pump steam or hot water to the surface. So, in geothermal power plant, they used hot water beneath the surface of the earth. To use it, they need to pump it to the surface. What do you think is the second process? Very good. When the water reaches the surface, the drop in pressure causes the water to turn into steam. So, when the hot water reaches the surface, it becomes steam because of dropping in pressure. Next, what do you think is the statement for the third process? Very good. The steam now spins a turbine which is connected to a generator that produces electricity. So from the hot water becomes steam, and the steam now will spin the turbine. That's the third process. What do you think is the fourth process? That turbine that is being spun by the steam is connected to a generator. Then that generator now will produces electricity. Let's now move on to the fourth process. What do you think is the fourth process? Very good. The cooling tower cools the steam which is condenses back to water. The steam being used to spin the turbine which is connected to the generator that generate electricity. The steam now will move to a cooling tower to become water again. And the last process is the cool tower is pumped back. The cooled water is pumped back into the earth to begin the process again. So from steam, it becomes water again with the use of cooling tower. Then the water will injected back to the earth beneath the surface of the earth. Then the process will do again and again. I think you got all the correct answer. You did a great job. So let us review again the steps on how geothermal power plant generate electricity using geothermal energy. First, wells are drilled deep into the earth to pump steam or hot water to the surface. Next, when the water reaches the surface, a drop in pressure causes the water to turn into steam. Next, the steam spins a turbine which is connected to a generator that produces electricity. The fourth one is cooling tower cools the steam which it condenses back to water. And then the cooled water is pumped back into the earth to begin the process again. Another activity. Complete the chart below to show how the heat from the earth is tapped as a source of electricity in a power plant. You can get your answer from the bulleted statement below. Do it on a separate sheet of paper. So these are the statements that you can choose to put inside those boxes. So the first process hot water from inside the earth. What do you think is the second one? Is it steam causes the turbine to spin? Generator changes the mechanical energy from spinning turbine to electrical energy? Or drop in pressure causes the hot water to become steam? What do you think is the second process or statement here? Again, our first statement is hot water from inside the earth. Then, what will happen? Very good. That is, drop in pressure causes the hot water to become steam. After this process or statement, what will be the next? Nice, that's correct. Steam causes the turbine to spin. And the last is the generator changes the mechanical energy from the spinning turbine to electrical energy. Another great job. What do you think are the importance and benefits of geothermal power plant or utilizing geothermal energy? Number 1, comparatively ecologically clean. Number 2, more energy. Number 3, stable prices. Number 4, renewable and sustainable. Number 5, permanent power supply. What you have watched are the geothermal power plant built in the Philippines. In the Philippines, geothermal power plant are used to generate electricity in Tiwi Albay, Kidapawan, North Cotabato, Calaca, Laguna, Tongonan, Leyte, Baguio City in Negros Occidental, Valencia in Negros Oriental, and Bacon in Sorsogon. Power plants are built in an area where it is particularly hot, just below the surface, such as near a group of geysers, hot springs, or volcanic activity. Philippines have more than 20 geothermal power plant because we are located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, wherein there are lots of volcanic activities happening, and we have lots of volcanoes. For that reason, Philippines is a great idea of building or constructing geothermal power plant? I think you already have a great idea or knowledge about our topic for this day. So let's have this flow map. Again, this is how we harness geothermal energy to create electricity using or by constructing or with the use of what we call geothermal power plant. So there are 6 circles here. I want you to identify the right word that being put on those circles. So these are the choices: steam, electricity, generator, hot water, surface, or turbine. So I want you to I will give you 10 seconds to think about those answers. Okay, so let's start. What do you think is the right word for this circle? Blank is pumped to the. Let us have this first circle. What do you think is the right word for it? Okay, that's correct. Hot water. The hot water is pumped to the. In geothermal power plant, the hot water is being pumped because this will serve as the thermal energy or the heat that needs by the geothermal power plant to produce electricity. So the hot water beneath the earth is being pumped to the from where? What do you think is the second word or the word for this circle? Very good. The hot water is pumped to the surface. Then it becomes what? When the hot water is pumped to the surface, it becomes what? Very good. That is, it becomes steam because of drop in pressure. Now, the steam spins the what? The steam which spins the. Nice, that is correct. The turbine. The steam which spins the turbine. Then this turbine is connected to what? Very good. Is connected to generator. Then that generator produces what? Very nice. That is electricity. That's the flow map and on how geothermal power plants use geothermal energy to produce electricity. In a nutshell, the heat from the Earth's interior is a source of energy called. Very good, geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is generated into 2 ways. What are those? Do you still remember? That is geothermal heat pump and geothermal power plant. Next, in blank, the heat from deep inside the earth is used to produce steam or generate electricity. What do you think is the right word for this blank? Is it geothermal heat pump or geothermal power plant? Very nice. That is geothermal power plants. Blank use the heat from close to the Earth's surface to heat water or provide heat for buildings. Very good. That is geothermal heat pumps. In the Philippines, geothermal power plants are used to generate electricity in Tiwi, Kidapawan, Calacala, Calaka, Tongonan, Bago City, Valencia, and Bacon, and some other areas in the Philippines. Again, these are the steps on how to generate electricity in a geothermal power plant. First, wells are drilled deep into the earth to pump steam or hot water to the surface. Next, when the water reaches the surface, a drop in pressure causes the water to turn into steam. Then, the steam spins a turbine which is connected to a generator that produces electricity. Fourth one, cooling tower cools the steam which is condenses back to the water. And the last, the cooled water is pumped back into the earth to begin the process again. For our activity 1, geothermal energy flow chart, from your worksheets, so what you're going to do, use the flow chart below to describe how energy is transformed to generate electricity in a geothermal power plant. Refer your answer on the different types of energy listed below. So, what you're going to do is to identify the correct statements or phrases on those boxes. From, these are the choices: mechanical energy turbine, mechanical energy of generator, thermal energy from inside the earth, and electrical energy. So one statement for each boxes. I hope you can now identify the correct answers. After doing that, for your activity number 2, geothermal energy importance, your barangay is chosen to be one of the locations where geothermal power plant will be built. After studying this lesson, you are asked by your barangay captain what are the importance or benefits that we can get from geothermal power plant. I want you to list down 5 importance or benefits that we can get from geothermal power plant. Again, do it on a sheet of paper or clean sheet of paper on your activity sheet or worksheet. Afterwards, after doing the activity 1 and activity 2, you can now have your short quiz. On your worksheets, direction, choose the letter of the correct answer, write your answer on a clean sheet of paper. So for your short quiz, there are 5 statements or 5 questions. What you're going to do is choose the letter of the correct answer. This is the first question. Volcanic energy is related to which type of energy? Letter A, hydroelectric energy. Letter B, nuclear energy. Letter C, geothermal energy. Letter D, solar energy. Next, about 18% of the energy in the Philippines is harnessed using volcanic energy. Which of the following characteristics makes a country a good location in harnessing volcanic energy? A, it has lots of rainforests. B, it is near the Pacific Ocean. C, it is near the equator. D, it has lots of volcanoes. Number 3, which of the following benefits that we can get from geothermal energy? Letter A, source of energy. B, heating system. C, heat pumps that controls the temperature. D, all of the above. Number 4, which of the following statements is true in harnessing volcanic energy? Letter A, it is not a renewable source of energy. Letter B, it cannot be done in the Philippines. Letter C, it is expensive and dangerous. Letter D, it can be and has been used as a source of energy. And number 5, how does the energy transformation occur in geothermal power plant? A, electrical to mechanical to thermal. B, thermal to mechanical to electrical. C, mechanical to thermal to electrical. D, none of the above. So, I want you to answer your activity 1, activity 2, and the short quiz. All of those, the total points for your week 3 is 15 points. Thank you and good luck. And stay safe.